Well, hi everybody. Welcome back to the Joy of Trucking. My name is Kevin. I'm a solo over-the-road driver for Werner Enterprises, and I want to tell you about my second week driving out of Lake City as my new home terminal. So hit that subscribe button and sit back and I'll tell you all the story. My first week out, I did what I usually do: I'd drive my clock out to the max every day and try to get as many driving hours as I could into the week. One thing I noticed though with my new fleet manager, I guess my shortest run was about 130 miles. My longest was 700 miles. So far none of those big juicy runs where you get over 1,000 miles and you just get to drive all day long. So not thrilled with that yet. And now in week 2, even worse. My shortest run was 25 miles, a little shag run. My longest was only 436. So not impressed so far with the miles. I really don't like the days where you spend half your day in drop yards and distribution centers doing drop and hook. Then you drive and you drop and hook and drive and you drop and hook. Before you know it, your day is all used up and you haven't driven your whole 11 hours, So I like to run long and I like to run the clock out. Now, with that said, this week was a little different. Week number 2, what happened was I finished my 70 hours. It was early Monday morning, like 9 o'clock in the morning. They didn't have another load for me. I only had like an hour or 2 left, so I started my reset. So what happens is the reset ends Tuesday night about 7 o'clock, and usually what happens is I finish my day, I finish late, and then my reset goes. Maybe the reset runs out at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I just start like I always do at 5 or 6 the next morning. No big deal. But this time I would have sat from 7 o'clock at night until 5 or 6 the next morning, and that didn't sit very well with me. So what I did was I actually started out at 7 o'clock at night. Now I don't usually like to drive at night, and I've worked night shifts at different times in my life, and I'd rather just do my thing during the day, But I didn't like wasting all those hours. And the other thing that was interesting, I have a home time request scheduled, and it was scheduled for the following Tuesday. So if I had gone about, running my clock out every day as I usually do, I might have wound up Monday stuck somewhere with my 70-hour clock running out, and then have to do a reset and then not get home until Wednesday and waste the day sitting there doing nothing when I want to do my reset at home, so that I maximize my working time and I don't spend time sitting around while I'm out on the road, right? I want to do that reset at home if possible. So what I did was I started out Tuesday night at 7 o'clock at night, and I worked for 10 hours that night, and then I stopped. And then I did a 10-hour rest. And that 10-hour rest resets your 14-hour clock. So I started out the next day with my whole clock back, but it was only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I started out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I kept going like that. I just do the 10-hour rest. I'd only work 8 or 9 hours. So by Friday, I was back to a day shift. And I didn't mind it too much. The first night was hard, working all night like that. But I napped a lot on the Tuesday. So I was pretty well rested when I started. And then just getting my 10-hour rest and then starting up right away and only working 8 or 9 hours, I'm back to day shift. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday has been like starting at my normal time once again. Working those short shifts, I would not wind up using up my 70-hour clock by the end of Monday, and if I wasn't home yet, I'd be stuck somewhere. So this way, I got it figured out that I would have finished my 70 hours Tuesday afternoon, and by that time I'd better be back home, because I asked for my home time starting Tuesday. So far it's working out pretty good, except a couple of things I've noticed this week. One thing, I've only done 7 loads, and it's Sunday morning. I haven't gotten yet to my home time request, but in those 7 loads, and a lot of them were short. And what I really noticed, and I've noticed in the past, is Werner keeps splitting loads. One load I picked up, I looked at all the places it had been dropped. This load came up out of Mexico and was going over to Pennsylvania, and it had been split 8 times. What's with the splits? What are you trying to do? Huh? That's got to be such a waste of time and energy. Drive it a couple hundred miles, drop it. It sits there and waits for the next guy. It might be the next day, or it might be later that day, and then he only goes so far with it. I'm an OTR driver. I don't like these short runs. If you give me something and tell me it's got to go across the country, I'm gone. I'll do it, you know. Yeah, a couple of loads I picked up. We drove them 200 miles and then had to drop them someplace so somebody else could come and get them and take them another, you know, X number of miles and whatever. So these little hops for these long runs, it eats up a lot of time and it doesn't give you the miles you want. The one load I picked up in Pennsylvania had come from Mexico. I only drove it 25 miles and dropped it at the final destination. And I was actually moving it west from where I picked it up. So obviously the guy before me who had it drove right past the destination. He could have dropped it off. What's another 25 miles out of your way anyway? Even if he had to go around or something, it would have taken him another half hour. The load would have been finished. Doesn't really make sense to me. Then I picked up a load from there. I picked up an empty trailer, and I drove it 400 miles, this empty trailer, to reposition it. So they didn't have enough empty trailers in one place, so they're trying to drag them in from other places. I understand that, but somehow that seems like bad planning to me. You know, I'm paid to drive something 400 miles. It's basically a trailer full of sailboat fuel. I don't know. Something's a little messed up there. It's not a good business model as far as I can see. So here's another thing now. The fifth wheel on this truck. Now I've only had this truck 2 weeks, and in that time I've had to use the fifth wheel puller handle that they issue you. I had to use that 5 or 6 times. On my last truck, I had it for a year. I only used that handle once. So there's something about this fifth wheel. It's really sticky. As a matter of fact, one trailer I went to hook up, and it wouldn't grab. It wouldn't lock on the kingpin. And I tried it 3 or 4 times. I checked the height. I tried it nice and slow. I tried it with a little bump. I tried shaking and rattling and everything else. I had to finally get out and use the puller handle to push the fifth wheel latch into the locked position. So that's never happened to me before. I'm a little worried about that. The other thing is, last night I got to my rest area for the night, and I did a walk around, and I'm looking at things, and I've heard this little clicking noise for a while now. So I crawled underneath the truck, and I could see that there was a bad oil leak from the front drive axle, right where the drive shaft enters it, at the front end of it. So the oil was leaking, I guess, while I was driving. It was kind of spreading across the whole fifth wheel. But where I stopped, after about 20 minutes, there's actually a small puddle, like a couple of inches. So this oil had gotten all over the differential, and it was dripping on the ground. So that really concerned me. So what I did was I filled out a daily vehicle inspection report and listed that as a problem that I saw, and I took pictures of it and included it with the report. And then I sent a message saying, this load, I'm only taking it 200 miles and it's being split. So I'll be at the Atlanta terminal tomorrow morning to split the load, and then I'm going to take the truck over to the service department and tell them about the problem with the fifth wheel and the problem with the oil leak, because that could result in some very serious damage. So I just drove it very carefully and gently here today, just a couple hours to get here. So now I've talked to the service department, and now I'm waiting for them to come get the truck and take a look at these problems. So that leaves me in kind of a situation, because it's Sunday and I wanted to start my home time Tuesday, and if this truck has to go to a dealership to get that oil problem fixed, it could be stuck without the truck for a day or two. And if that happens, maybe they assign me another truck, or maybe they put me in a hotel, or maybe I stay with the truck and sleep at the dealership while they fix the truck. I have no idea. I don't know if I'm going to make it home on time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back on the road and make some more money before I go to my home time. I still got 17 hours left, so I could work all day tomorrow and all day Tuesday and get some more miles in. So that's where it stands. I'm in Atlanta at the terminal, and I don't know what's going to happen next. So stay tuned, friends and neighbors. On my next video, I'll tell you how it all turned out. So sit tight and listen. Do that thumbs up thing. Comments down below. Hit that subscribe button, notification bell, all that good stuff. You know the routine. All right, bye for now. We'll see you down the road.